They said the rich don't cry. They said money solves everything. But that night, in the cold rain outside the Grand Royal Hotel, a billionaire named Alexander Cortez stood frozen, staring at a girl drenched, shivering, clutching an old worn-out backpack as though her life depended on it. She couldn't have been more than 12. Her clothes were torn, her shoes falling apart, her voice barely a whisper as she said, "Sir, please, my little brother is sick. He hasn't eaten in 2 days. We just need some milk. Please." Alexander didn't even blink. He adjusted his expensive coat, glanced at his golden watch and said coldly, "I'm not a charity. Go ask the government." His bodyguards walked ahead, ignoring the girl entirely, as if she were invisible. The girl's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to cry. Not in front of him. Not in front of the man her mother told her about, the man who abandoned them before she was born. She didn't believe it at first. Not until she saw his picture in an old box. Not until her mother whispered with her last breath, "Find Alexander Cortez. Show him this necklace, he will know." Now she stood there holding that silver locket tightly in her fist. The guards shoved her away, but she stumbled back, stood firm, and looked straight into Alexander's eyes. "Why won't you help us?" she asked. He didn't answer. He didn't care. People passing by whispered, recording the scene on their phones. Another viral moment of a rich man turning his back on the poor. The girl's voice trembled. "If money is all that matters to you, fine. But at least help my brother. He's dying." Alexander sighed impatiently. "I said no. Now move." The girl lowered her gaze to the wet pavement, tears mixing with the rain. She took a deep breath, stepped closer to him, and whispered words that made his heart stop beating. "I'm your daughter." The world went silent. Even the rain seemed to pause midair. Alexander froze. His eyes widened, but just for a second. Then his expression hardened. Anger, disbelief. "What nonsense is this? Who told you to say that? Is this some scam?" She slowly opened her hand and revealed the silver locket. "My mother said you'd recognize this." Alexander's face turned pale. He hadn't seen that locket in 13 years. He had given it to a woman he loved. A woman he left when his father demanded he choose between love and legacy. He chose legacy. He never knew she was pregnant. Or maybe he just never wanted to know. He snatched the locket from her hand and whispered, "Where is your mother?" The girl's lips trembled. "She's gone." A storm of guilt, rage, and denial erupted in his chest. But instead of embracing her, he turned away. "I don't believe you," he muttered. "Even if it were true, it doesn't matter. You're not my responsibility." And with that, he walked through the glass doors of the hotel, leaving her under the rain. She didn't move. She didn't cry. She just stood there, whispering softly to herself, "I knew you wouldn't care." Minutes passed like hours. She finally turned to leave, clutching her backpack, heading toward the old abandoned bus stop where her sick little brother waited. She didn't notice the tall man watching from the shadows. He wore a black suit and an expression that could freeze fire. His name, Marcus Hale, Alexander's personal lawyer and the only one who knew the truth about the locket and the woman Alexander left behind. He stepped out quietly, phone in hand. "Sir," he said to Alexander upstairs, "if that girl is who I think she is, this changes everything. Your father's will, the inheritance, the company." Alexander's eyes narrowed. "Get rid of her," he ordered coldly. Marcus hesitated. "You're making a mistake." Meanwhile, at the bus stop, the girl knelt beside a little boy wrapped in a torn blanket. His lips were blue, his breath shallow. "Lila," he whispered weakly. "Did he help us?" She forced a smile. "He will, I promise." But deep inside her, hope was fading. She opened her backpack. Inside were 2 apples, a cracked photo of their mother, and a bottle of water half empty. She broke the apple in half and gave it to him. As he ate slowly, she whispered, "Hold on, I'll find help. I'll do anything." Back at the hotel, Alexander stood by the tall glass window, watching rain flood the streets. His reflection stared back at him, cold, powerful, but now haunted. He He saw the girl's eyes, the same eyes as the woman he abandoned. Memories flooded, her laughter, her tears, her last words. One day you'll need love more than money. He gritted his teeth. No, he couldn't be weak now. His empire was at stake. His board of directors were already waiting for any mistake to take him down. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the videos of him rejecting the girl had already gone viral. Millions watched, commenting, sharing, "Heartless billionaire refuses starving child." Sponsors called. Stock market shifted. His reputation burned. Within hours, his empire started to crack. His phone rang. His company's vice president shouted, "Fix this immediately or we're finished." He closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he felt fear. Not of losing money, but of losing the last chance to make things right. He grabbed his car keys and rushed out. But he wasn't the only one looking for her. 2 black vans pulled out from the hotel garage. Security men sent by Marcus Hale under Alexander's orders to make sure the girl and her brother disappeared quietly, forever. Lila felt something was wrong. She hugged her brother tightly as headlights approached the bus stop. A man stepped out of the van, saying gently, "Come with us. Your father wants to see you." She didn't believe him. She ran. The rain poured harder. Her brother coughed, crying in her arms. The men followed, and just when she thought they were trapped, another car screeched to a halt in front of them. The door swung open. Alexander stood there, drenched, pale, eyes filled with something she had never seen before. Regret. "Get in the car," he said quietly. Lila hesitated. "Why?" His voice broke. "Because I believe you." The men from the van stepped closer. Marcus Hale called from inside, "Sir, this is a mistake." Alexander glared at him. "She is my daughter." Lila's heart pounded. She took a step, then another. But before she could reach the car, another voice shouted from the shadows, "Alexander, step away from the girl." A red laser dot appeared on Alexander's chest. A sniper. A betrayal. The boy screamed. The van's engines roared. The rain became thunder. Lila froze between life, death, and a father she never knew. The laser dot trembled on Alexander's chest as thunder cracked across the sky. Lila stood frozen, clutching her brother, not knowing whether to run or scream. The rain soaking through her torn clothes and the world spinning into chaos. Alexander slowly raised his hands, voice low but steady. "Whoever you are, there's a child here." But the sniper's voice echoed through a hidden earpiece from somewhere in the darkness, cold and sharp. "Step away from the girl, Mr. Cortez. This is bigger than you or her." Marcus Hale stepped forward from the shadows. His jaw clenched. "Alex, listen to them. If you defy this, you'll lose everything." Alexander turned, rain dripping from his face, but his voice had changed, softer, broken but firm. "I already lost everything the day I walked away from her mother. I won't do it again." He took a step toward Lila. The red dot followed his heartbeat. Lila whispered, trembling, "They're going to kill you." But Alexander knelt to her eye level, his hands trembling for the first time in years. "Lila, I don't care about the company, the money, the name. Care about you. Let me fix this." She didn't move, didn't speak, but her eyes, for a moment, they softened. Behind them, the van doors slammed open, armed men closing in. Then, suddenly, a shot exploded through the storm. Screams, gasps. But it wasn't Alexander who fell. One of the security guards dropped to his knees, yelling in pain, his gun skidding into a puddle. "Get down!" someone shouted. The sniper's laser disappeared. A black SUV screeched from the far side of the road, windows tinted, engine roaring like thunder. The back door swung open and a woman stepped out, drenched, fierce, eyes sharp as lightning. Lila's breath stopped. "Mom," she whispered, but no. The woman looked older, colder, dressed in black tactical gear. She shouted, "Lila Rivers? Get in the car." Lila froze. Alexander grabbed her arm protectively. "Who are you?" he demanded. The woman's jaw tightened. "Your past. She tossed a file folder at his feet, documents spilling out, photos of him and Lila's mother years ago, secret letters never delivered, medical reports, custody papers never signed. Alexander's eyes widened, heart pounding. "Who sent you?" She hesitated. "Your father." Lightning split the sky. The old man, Elijah Cortez, founder of the Cortez Empire, thought to be dying in a private clinic, had been pulling strings. For years, he knew about the child. He knew about the woman. And he wanted the girl found not to help her, but to use her. Alexander felt ice clutch his chest. "Why?" he asked. The woman stepped closer, whispering so only he could hear. "Because she is the legal heir, not you." The power shifted in a single heartbeat. The empire Alexander sacrificed love for would never be his. It was always meant for Lila, the daughter he abandoned. The daughter fate had brought back to him in the rain. The van engines revved. The sniper repositioned. The woman from the SUV reached for Lila. Alexander pulled her back, shouting, "She's not going anywhere." The woman glared. "You no longer get to choose. Elijah wants her. Alive." Lila trembled, holding her brother tighter. "Why does he want me? I don't even know him." The woman's voice softened slightly. "Because you are the only legitimate Cortez heir. Your mother, she was married to Alexander in secret. You're not a mistake, Lila. You're the future of a billion-dollar dynasty." Alexander's world shattered. Tears mixed with the rain, but he didn't wipe them away. He looked at Lila, voice breaking. "I didn't know. I swear, But she pulled her hand away, her face cold, hurt cutting deeper than any bullet. "You didn't want to know." Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. He opened it. A video. His daughter, Lila, standing in the rain outside the hotel, begging. Millions of views. Hashtags. News headlines. Billionaire refuses to help his own daughter. His company stocks were crashing. His board demanded his resignation. His world was burning. And in the middle of it stood a girl whose trust he might never earn. The woman in black stepped forward. "Time's up. She comes with me." Lila stepped back, shaking her head. "No, I just want my brother safe." Her brother coughed violently, his skin pale, his breathing shallow. The woman reached into her coat, pulling out a vial and syringe. "He needs this medication. He has pneumonia. Without it, he won't make it through the night." Lila's eyes widened in desperation. "Please, give it to him." The woman held it just out of reach. "Come with me, and he lives." Alexander stepped between them. "Take me instead. I'll go to Elijah. I'll give him the company, everything. Just leave them alone." The woman stared at him. For the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. Then, another voice boomed from a speaker inside one of the vans, deep and chilling. "No, Alexander, you don't get to negotiate anymore." The screen on the van lit up. Elijah Cortez appeared, frail but fierce, oxygen tubes in his nose, eyes sharp as a hawk. "Bring her to me," he ordered. "The boy too. If Alexander interferes, end him." Lila gasped. "Why me? Why now?" Elijah's thin smile sent chills across every spine. "Because, child, I am dying, and before I leave this world, I will make sure the Cortez legacy survives, whether you want it or not." A gust of wind howled, the lights flickered, and then silence. The syringe glistened in the woman's hand. Lila looked at her brother, then at Alexander, then at the van where destiny waited. Tears streamed down her face. She took one slow step forward. Alexander grabbed her wrist, voice trembling. "Don't. I'll save him. I'll save you. Just trust me." Her lips parted as if to answer, but before a single word escaped, gunshots erupted. Tires screeched. Smoke filled the air. Someone screamed, "They're here! Run!" But who was it? Police? Rivals? Or someone even worse? And just as Lila turned to run, her brother collapsed in her arms, unconscious, his pulse fading. Rain hammered the ground like 1,000 broken promises as Lila screamed, cradling her brother's limp body, his skin cold, breaths shallow and disappearing like smoke in the wind. "No, no, stay with me," she cried, voice trembling, tears mixing with the storm. Alexander dropped to his knees beside her, panic tearing through his chest. "Call an ambulance now," he shouted. But the armed men, the black vans, the woman in tactical gear, everyone listened only to the voice of Elijah Cortez still echoing through the van's screen. "Bring her to me, or the boy dies tonight." Blood roared in Alexander's ears. He grabbed the syringe from the woman's hand. "Give it to me, now." She hesitated, her orders freezing her. Lila looked at her brother's pale face and screamed, "Please!" Finally, the woman tossed the medication. Alexander's hands shook as he injected it into the boy's arm. One heartbeat, two, silence. Then air filled his lungs again, weak but alive. Lila sobbed in relief, hugging him tightly. But before she could speak, headlights blazed from both ends of the street. Black cars, more men, guns drawn, no escape. The woman whispered, "They're here to take all of you." Alexander stood, fury replacing fear. "If they want her," he growled, "they go through me." Marcus Hale, his lawyer, stepped forward, rain dripping from his hair, voice low. "Alex, your father won't stop. This isn't just about legacy, it's about control. And Lila is the one person he can't control unless she's afraid." Lila rose slowly, holding her brother in her arms, soaked to the bone, but eyes burning with something new, courage. "Then I won't let him win," she whispered. But before anyone could move, the screen on the van flickered again. Elijah Cortez leaned closer to the camera, his thin lips curling into a chilling smile. "Bring her to the mansion before dawn, or I'll release the truth to the world. Every secret, every scandal, every crime that built this empire. And Alexander, you will lose everything." Alexander clenched his fists. "I don't care about my empire." Elijah's eyes narrowed. "But she will lose her freedom. Child services, headlines. Homeless girl claims to be heir. Caught lying for money. They'll take the boy from her. She'll be a criminal before sunrise." Lila froze. Fear stabbed through her lungs. He had power, too much power, and he was willing to destroy her life before admitting his sins. Then, unexpectedly, police sirens cut through the storm. Blue and red lights flashed, tires screeching as patrol cars surrounded the area. "Everyone freeze!" officers yelled. But instead of relief, Lila's heart sank. The woman in black whispered, "Those officers, they're not here to save you. They work for him." The officers stepped out, faces hard, emotionless. One pointed at Lila. "Take the girl. And the boy." Alexander stepped forward, fury in his voice. "Touch them, and I will ruin every one of you." But then something shifted. One officer hesitated, a younger man, his voice shaky. "Sir, she's just a kid." The captain glared. "Do your job." But the young officer hesitated again, then slowly lowered his weapon. Alexander looked at him, shocked. Lila whispered, "Please, help us." The officer's voice shook. "Run. Now." The street exploded into chaos. Guns firing, shouting, smoke grenades. Alexander grabbed Lila's arm. "Get in the car." He lifted the boy as she stumbled behind him. Marcus Hale jumped into the driver's seat. Tires screeched as they sped into the stormy night, bullets cracking the glass behind them. Lila held her brother close in the back seat, watching the city lights blur past. Her voice broke. "Where are we going?" Alexander whispered, "Somewhere safe. Somewhere he can't reach you." Marcus glanced back through the mirror, his voice tense. "There is no place he can't reach." Alexander glared. "There's one." Marcus froze. "No, you can't be serious." Alexander looked out the window, jaw clenched. "The house where it all started, where I left her mother." Lila's fingers tightened around the locket. Her mother's locket. Lightning flashed across the sky as the car turned down an old coastal road. the cliffs of Blackthorn Bay ahead. Waves crashed violently below. The abandoned beach house stood against the storm. Broken windows, ivy over the walls, but still standing like a memory refusing to die. Alexander whispered, "This is where I last saw your mother." Lila didn't answer. She stepped out of the car, rain pouring, heart heavy. She walked toward the broken door. Inside, dust, silence, forgotten love. A music box lay on a table. She opened it. A lullaby played, the one her mother used to hum. Lila's eyes filled with tears. "She was here," she whispered. "She waited for you." Alexander's voice cracked. "I know." Suddenly, glass shattered. Marcus shouted, "They've found us!" Black SUVs appeared at the top of the cliff road. Headlights cutting through rain. Doors opening. Armed men stepping out. Elijah's voice played from a loudspeaker. "Lila, come out, or your brother won't see the sunrise." Lila's heart thundered. Alexander stepped in front of her, shielding her with his own body. He turned to her, voice shaking. "Do you trust me?" Lila looked at him, at the man who broke her life but was now trying to save it, and whispered, "I don't know." He nodded. "Then let me earn it." But before he could take another step, little Ezra's voice whispered weakly, "Lila." She turned. His eyes rolled back. He collapsed in her arms again, his breathing almost gone. And then boom, the front door exploded. Armed men rushed in. Lila screamed. Alexander grabbed her hand. Marcus yelled, "Hidden tunnel, behind the fireplace. Go!" They ran through the dark passageway, water dripping from stone walls, Ezra's breaths fading. The sound of footsteps and guns echoed behind them. Ahead, a rusty iron door leading to the cliffs. Beyond it, only the raging sea below. Alexander slammed the door shut behind them. No lock, no time. Lila fell to her knees, holding her brother. "He's dying. Please help him," she begged. Alexander tore open a medical kit, hands trembling. And just as he was about to inject the last vial of medicine into Ezra's arm, a gun clicked behind his head. A familiar voice whispered through the darkness. Cold, calm, dangerous. "Step away from the boy, Alexander, or I finish what you started 13 years ago." Alexander froze. Lila's heart stopped. The gun's cold barrel pressed against the back of Alexander's head as the echo of that chilling voice filled the tunnel. Lila's breath caught in her lungs, her heart pounding against her ribs like it wanted to escape. Slowly, too slowly. Alexander raised his hands, the syringe trembling between his fingertips. "Turn around," the voice commanded, steady, merciless. Alexander obeyed, and the figure stepped into the faint light. A man with storm-gray eyes, sharply cut cheekbones, and a scar running down his jaw. Gabriel Cortez, Alexander's younger brother, presumed dead for years, now alive, and holding the gun with a calmness that was more terrifying than rage. Lila gasped, "Who is he?" Gabriel's eyes shifted to her, and for the first time, something flickered, recognition or regret, before vanishing. "I'm the son your grandfather chose," he said coldly. "The one meant to inherit everything until you happened." Alexander stood between Gabriel and the children, voice raw. "You were dead," they said. Gabriel let out a dark laugh. "Father made me disappear, to build me into something useful. Now I do what must be done to protect this family, even if it means erasing its mistakes." He took a step forward, the gun now aimed at Ezra. "Give me the girl," he said, "or the boy dies in front of you." Lila cried out, clutching her brother tighter. "Please, he's sick. Don't." Gabriel's jaw tightened, his voice softer but sharper than a knife. "I don't want to hurt children, Lila, but I will. Don't make me." Alexander's hand slowly moved behind his back. A small hidden trigger embedded in the wall stone, an old escape mechanism his father once showed him. Gabriel saw the movement, eyes narrowing. "Don't even think about it." But it was too late. Alexander slammed his palm against the stone. A loud clank. The tunnel floor vibrated. A metal gate dropped between them like a guillotine, locking Gabriel on the other side. He fired. Bullets ricocheted against iron, but the family was already running toward the cliff exit. "Move!" Marcus shouted as the storm raged louder outside, wind whipping like knives. Lila followed Alexander through the narrow passage, Ezra limp in her arms, his breathing faint and fading. They burst through the cliffside exit, rain crashing down like stones from heaven, the roaring sea below, black and merciless. A small boat bobbed against the rocks, abandoned, old, but their only chance. Alexander grabbed Lila's shoulder. "Get in now!" She hesitated, fear trembling in her bones. "What about him?" Her eyes darted back to the tunnel entrance where Gabriel's men could be any second. Alexander, soaked and shaking, whispered, "I'll give him the injection on the boat, but we need to leave. He doesn't have long." They hurried into the boat. Marcus struggled to untie the rope as lightning lit the sky. Ezra's head lolled in Lila's arms, his skin ghostly pale. "Stay with me," she whispered, voice breaking. Alexander tried to start the engine, but it sputtered, choking, refusing to come alive. Come on," he hissed. Marcus yelled, "They're coming!" Because at that moment, Gabriel and his men burst from the tunnel, guns raised, shadows against the lightning. Gabriel's voice roared through the storm. "Stop the boat, or I swear I will shoot her." Lila stood, drenched, defiant. "If you want me, come get me." Her voice cracked, but her eyes were fire. Gabriel hesitated. He took a step, another, then bang. A warning shot hit the water inches from the boat. Marcus grabbed the oar, shoving the boat away from the rocks. Alexander ripped open the engine panel, hands moving frantically. Lila's tears mixed with rain. "Dad, please!" The first time she had ever called him that. "Ezra's dying." Alexander froze, just for a second. That word, that lightning struck. The engine roared to life. Gabriel screamed, "Don't let them leave!" Bullets ripped through the storm. Water splashed. Marcus ducked. Alexander grabbed the syringe. Lila held Ezra's arm still as Alexander injected the final medication, whispering, "Please, hold on." Ezra's chest rose once, twice, then stilled. "No, Ezra, Ezra." Lila sobbed, shaking him, her screams tearing through the storm. Alexander checked his pulse. Nothing. Her world shattered. She clutched her brother's lifeless body, crying, "Wake up! Please wake up!" Gabriel watched from the cliff, his expression unreadable. But before anyone could speak, Ezra gasped. Air rushed into his lungs. His eyes fluttered open weakly. Lila cried out in relief, hugging him so tightly she thought he might break. Alexander wiped tears he didn't know he had. "He's alive! He's alive!" he whispered. But the storm was not done with them. A massive wave slammed into the boat, knocking Marcus overboard. "Marcus!" Alexander shouted. He dove after him. Gabriel's men fired blindly through the rain. Lila held Ezra close, screaming, "Dad!" Alexander surfaced with Marcus, dragging him back into the boat, blood on his forehead. The engine sputtered again. The cliffs ahead darkened. And then, through lightning, they all saw it. Far above, on the cliffside, an old figure in a wheelchair, oxygen mask over his face, surrounded by guards. Elijah Cortez, watching, silent. His eyes met Lila's, cold, calculating. He lifted his hand and pointed forward. His men lit a flare. It illuminated something in the water ahead. Sharp, metallic, deadly. A line of hidden spikes beneath the surface, meant to tear any boat apart trying to flee. Marcus screamed, "Turn the boat! Turn!" But it was too late. The boat lurched, would split. Water surged in. Lila clutched Ezra as icy sea swallowed their legs. Alexander looked at her, terror and love in his eyes. "Jump!" he shouted. "Swim to the rocks." A gunshot cracked. Gabriel yelled, "Lila, don't!" She jumped, holding her brother. The sea swallowed them both. Alexander dove after. Marcus vanished beneath the waves. The boat splintered apart. Elijah Cortez watched from the cliff, his expression like stone. And as Lila sank beneath the freezing black water, her hands still wrapped around her brother's, her lungs burning, vision fading, she saw a figure diving toward her through the stormy waves. A hand reached for hers, strong, desperate. Not Alexander's, not Marcus's, someone else, someone she did not expect, someone she thought was dead. The world went silent. The doctor's words echoed in Alexander Knight's mind like thunder. She may never wake up. He stood frozen outside Mia's hospital room, watching the steady beeping of the heart monitor. A machine was breathing for her now. His daughter, the daughter he denied, the daughter who whispered, "I'm your daughter," before collapsing in his arms. His hands trembled. This wasn't a business deal. This wasn't something he could buy his way out of. This was guilt, raw, suffocating. He pressed his palm to the glass window, whispering, "Please fight." Meanwhile, security cameras captured a figure in a black hoodie walking calmly out of the hospital emergency exit. No one noticed the blood droplets on their sleeve. No one saw the grin. In another wing of the hospital, Melissa sat in a chair, clutching her phone to her chest, tears streaming down her cheeks. She had sent Alexander the test results. The truth, DNA confirmed it. Mia was his child. She expected relief, but instead she saw fear in his eyes. "Melissa?" he asked quietly, holding the document with shaking hands. "Why didn't you tell me?" She swallowed hard. "Because you chose power. You chose money. And I chose to protect her." Lights flickered above them. A storm raged outside, wind hammering against the windows. Thunder cracked. Suddenly, screens across the hospital turned black. Then a message appeared in red text. "She wasn't supposed to live." Gasps filled the hallways. Nurses panicked. Doctors gathered. Alexander's heart dropped. Someone wanted Mia gone. Someone who already tried and was watching. A nurse screamed from Mia's room. Alexander and Melissa ran full speed, only to find Mia's bed empty. Tubes ripped out. Blood on the pillows. The window slightly open. Rain blowing in. Melissa covered her mouth. "No, no, no." A single note lay on the sheets, soaked by rain. Alexander picked it up. His eyes widened, voice breaking as he read the handwritten words aloud. "If you want to see her again, turn off the cameras and come alone." Melissa shook her head violently. "It's a trap. Alexander, you cannot go." But he stepped back, eyes dark with a kind of rage she had never seen. "They took my daughter." Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating his face. "I'm going." At that exact moment, Mia's phone, left on the hospital table, buzzed. A video message. Melissa clicked it with trembling hands. The screen showed Mia, unconscious, tied to a chair in a dark warehouse. A shadowy figure stepped into frame, voice distorted. "Billionaire or not, some debts must be paid in blood." The video cut to black. Alexander clenched his fists. "I don't care who they are. I will burn the world to get her back." But as he took one step toward the exit, his phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated, answered. A whisper on the other end. Calm, cold, male. "Mr. Knight, congratulations. You just activated Phase 2. The call ended. Alarms began blaring through the hospital. Emergency lockdown. Security doors slammed shut. Nurses screamed as systems went down. Phones died. Lights flickered off. Pitch black. Melissa grabbed his arm in the darkness, whispering, "Alex, what have you done?" But before he could answer, a child's voice echoed faintly down the hallway. Soft, weak. "Daddy, help me." He froze. That was Mia's voice. Melissa gasped. "Did you hear that?" The hallway lights flickered on, and at the far end of the corridor stood a small figure. A little girl in a hospital gown, soaked, pale, barefoot. Mia, or someone who looked like her. She lifted her head slowly, eyes lifeless, and whispered again, "Daddy." Alexander stepped forward, heartbeat pounding in his ears. Melissa whispered sharply, "Alex, that's not her." But it was too late. Darkness swallowed the hallway completely. Melissa clung to Alexander's arm, her breath shallow, trembling. Somewhere ahead, footsteps echoed, slow, dragging. Then silence. Emergency lights flickered back to life, dim red glow pouring across the corridor. The little girl was gone. Only wet footprints remained, leading toward the ICU exit. Alexander's pulse thudded in his ears. That was Mia. It had to be. Melissa shook her head, whispering, "No, Mia's still out there. Wherever they took her. That whatever we just saw wasn't her." Before they could move, hospital security rushed in, panic all over their faces. "Sir, you need to come with us. The hospital is under cyber attack." Someone disabled the power grid, locked the elevators, and a monitor behind them crackled to life mid-sentence. Static. Then a voice, distorted and deep. "Stop looking for answers in the light. The truth lives in the dark." Cameras across the wall began switching one by one, showing live footage of different locations in the hospital. Empty hallways, blood near a stairwell. A door swinging open by itself, and then Mia, still unconscious, still tied to a chair. But this time the camera zoomed out. Someone else was there. A man in a dark coat, face hidden in shadow. He stood behind her, gently brushing a hand over her hair, whispering something. Melissa gasped. "Who is that?" Alexander stepped closer, his voice barely more than a growl. "I know that voice." Nurses looked at him. "You do." His fists tightened. "That's the same voice who called me 10 years ago. The man who warned me never to look for Melissa again." Melissa's eyes widened in horror. "You knew someone was after me? And you said nothing?" He turned to her, guilt crashing over his face. "I tried to protect you, but I was a coward." Before she could respond, another screen lit up. A live map of the hospital. A small blinking red dot, moving slowly toward the rooftop. The system voice announced, "Target in transit. Extraction in 5 minutes." Alexander didn't wait. He ran, past the ICU, past the broken elevator, up the stairwell, taking 2 steps at a time. Melissa followed, breathless, pleading, "Alex, slow down." Alarms screamed. Rain pounded against rooftop doors. Thunder roared. He pushed through the final door, cold wind whipping his coat. And there, at the edge of the rooftop, stood a helicopter. Rotors spinning, red lights flashing. 2 armed men loading a stretcher with Mia's unconscious body. The man in the dark coat stood beside her, face still hidden. Alexander shouted over the storm, "Let her go!" The man turned his head slightly, his voice calm. "You're late." Alexander stepped forward. "Take me instead." A low chuckle. "You think this is about ransom?" "No, Alexander. This is about legacy, bloodlines, and the secret you buried 19 years ago." Melissa froze behind him. "What secret?" Alexander didn't answer. His eyes were locked on Mia. The man raised his hand, and the armed men aimed their guns at Alexander. "One more step, and your daughter dies before she ever wakes." Lightning split the sky. Thunder shook the roof. Rain washed blood from the stretcher wheels. Mia's fingers twitched. For the first time since she was taken, she moved. One whispered word escaped her dry, pale lips. "Dad." Alexander's eyes widened. He bolted forward, ignoring the guns, ignoring the screams, only to hear the click of a safety being released. A gunshot rang out. Someone fell to their knees. But it wasn't Alexander. It was Melissa, blood staining her hands, eyes wide, whispering, "Save her." The man in the coat sighed. How predictable. He raised his hand. "End this." Mia's stretcher was pushed into the helicopter. The rotor blades spun faster. Alexander screamed her name, running, bleeding, slipping in the rain. But just as he reached the edge, boom. The rooftop floor beneath him detonated. Fire, smoke, falling concrete. The helicopter rose into the stormy sky, and Alexander, dangling from the shattered roof, clung to a broken metal beam, lightning illuminating his face full of rage and loss. Rain battered Alexander's face as he hung desperately from the twisted metal beam, fingers slipping, blood mixing with rainwater. Below him, 30 floors of empty air. Above him, flames, smoke, and Melissa's faint voice crying his name. He clenched his jaw, muscles shaking, forcing himself upward. Metal groaned. His arm burned. "Don't let go," Melissa coughed weakly, crawling toward him, leaving a trail of blood. Hospital alarms blared. Sirens echoed from distant streets. With one final cry, Alexander dragged himself onto the rooftop, collapsing onto the cold concrete beside her. Lightning illuminated their faces, one burning with pain, the other with guilt. "Melissa, stay with me." Her voice trembled. "You lied. All these years. You knew someone was hunting us." Tears mixed with rain on his cheeks. "I was trying to protect you. I thought it was over. I thought he was gone." "Who?" she whispered. He closed his eyes. "My brother, Ethan." The name cut through the storm like a blade. Melissa's eyes widened. "You told me he was dead." Alexander nodded slowly. "I thought he was, until tonight." Down below, police swarmed the building. Sirens screeched, lights flashed, but the helicopter was already gone, carrying Mia into the roaring storm. Melissa gripped his collar. "Then tell me the truth. Now." His shoulders trembled. 19 years ago, Ethan and I built something, an underground fund to hide money from our father. But Ethan wanted more. He wanted control of the company. He threatened to expose everything unless I disappeared and left you." Melissa stared, heartbroken. "So you let the world think I abandoned you and Mia while you lived in luxury? I did it to keep you alive." "No," she whispered, tears falling. "You did it to protect yourself." Before he could respond, footsteps emerged from the stairwell. Police officers, EMTs, stretchers. They rushed to Melissa, lifting her onto a gurney. A medic pressed gauze against her wound. "Sir, step back. She's losing blood fast." Melissa grabbed Alexander's hand weakly. "Bring her back to me. Bring our daughter back." And then her eyes rolled back. Machines beeped frantically. They rushed her downstairs. Alexander stood frozen, drenched in rain, heart pounding against shattered ribs. Then his phone buzzed in his pocket. A known number. He answered with shaking fingers. "Where is she?" A soft laugh on the other end. Calm, confident. "Ethan, still alive, for now. If you hurt her, you'll do what?" Ethan interrupted. "You already chose once, brother. You chose power over family. Now you get to choose again, your daughter or your company. You can't have both. Take me instead." "I don't want you," Ethan said coldly. "I want everything you took from me." Line disconnected. Alexander's chest heaved with rage and helplessness. He threw the phone onto the roof, shattering it. Thunder rolled. 2 officers approached. "Sir, the hospital security found something in the footage. You need to see this." They led him to the surveillance room, screens flickering. One paused frame sharpened, enhanced. Inside the helicopter, faint but visible, Mia's tiny wrist. A bracelet. The same bracelet Melissa gave her on her 10th birthday. But carved into the inside of the bracelet was something new. A number, not random. Coordinates, latitude and longitude. A location. The screen zoomed closer. The location pointed to a place far from the city. Alexander's family's abandoned estate. A place he swore never to return. "That's where he's taking her," Alexander whispered, heart turning to ice. Suddenly, all the screens in the room glitched, static filling the air. Then Ethan's face appeared. Dark eyes, calm smile. "Tick-tock, brother. By sunrise, if you don't come alone, she dies." The screens went black. Alexander stood still, rain still dripping from his hair. A single tear fell. His voice cracked. "I'm coming for you, Ethan." Rain still hammered the hospital windows as Alexander walked through the dim hallway, drenched, broken, but burning with determination. Doctors rushed past him, Nurses whispered. Security teams locked down every exit. None of it mattered. He had only one thought, Mia, his daughter, taken by the brother he once loved and betrayed. He stopped outside the emergency room doors where they were treating Melissa. Through the glass, he saw her pale face, oxygen mask, blood-soaked bandages wrapped around her abdomen. Machines beeped beside her, every sound a countdown. A doctor stepped out. Sir, she lost a lot of blood. We've stabilized her, but she hasn't woken up. If there's anything she needs to know, say it soon. Alexander's eyes filled with tears, but he nodded. He stepped inside quietly. Her hand lay motionless on the bed. He lifted it, voice barely a whisper. I swear to you, I'll bring her back, even if it kills me. For a second, he thought he saw her fingers move. Then silence. He left the room before his heart shattered completely. Downstairs, 2 black cars waited. His assistant, David, approached nervously. Sir, security is ready. We can track the helicopter. Should I alert the board of directors? Should we call federal agents? Alexander shook his head. No. Ethan said I come alone. But sir, if anyone follows, Mia dies. And with that, Alexander stepped into his black SUV. Engines roared to life. City lights blurred in the rainfall. The hospital disappeared behind him. Hours passed. Streets gave way to forest roads. Fog thickened. Trees towered like shadows. The GPS glowed faintly on the dashboard, guiding him to coordinates that only one other person in the world knew. The Hawthorne estate, his family's old mansion, abandoned, cursed by secrets. He gripped the steering wheel harder. Memories clawed at him. His father's cold voice, Ethan's laughter, the night everything burned. Lightning cracked the sky as the iron gates of the estate appeared, twisted with rust, chained shut. But as Alexander stopped the car, the gates creaked open on their own. Someone was expecting him. He stepped out. Wind howled. The forest seemed to breathe around him. The mansion rose in the distance, dark, broken, windows like empty eyes staring into his soul. Inside the main hall, candles flickered. Dust hung in the air. His footsteps echoed on cracked marble floors. Then click. A spotlight above him flicked on. A voice echoed through the speaker system. Slow, mocking, familiar. Welcome home, brother. Alexander's jaw tightened. Where is she? A soft laugh. You're standing in the house where our father destroyed our future. Now, it's where I rebuild mine. Alexander looked around. Cameras hid in the corners. He knew Ethan was watching. What do you want from me? I want you to remember, Ethan said softly. Remember the night our father chose you as heir. Remember how he left me with nothing. Remember how you promised we'd share everything, then left me buried beneath his legacy. You tried to burn this house down with him in it, Alexander said through clenched teeth. You killed him. No, Ethan whispered, voice cold as ice. I killed the man who killed us first. A loud metallic thud echoed from upstairs. A cry, a girl's voice. Mia. Daddy! Alexander bolted toward the grand staircase when, boom, a glass panel shattered beside him. A sniper shot. A bullet embedded in the wall inches from his head. Ethan's voice. One more step, and she loses more than her voice. Alexander froze, chest heaving. What do you want me to do? Silence. Then doors creaked open at the end of the hall. A long mirror stood there, covered in dust. Ethan's voice whispered, Before you get her back, you must confess your sin. The sin that destroyed this family. Alexander stared at the mirror, rain dripping from his coat, heart pounding. What sin? Ethan's reply came like a blade. Tell the truth about what happened to our mother. The room fell silent. Wind howled through cracked windows. Alexander's eyes widened. Ethan, don't do this. Confess, or she dies. And then Mia screamed again, desperate, terrified, her voice echoing through hidden speakers. Dad, he's coming back. Please hurry. Then silence. The line cut. Candle flames flickered violently. Alexander stared at the mirror, breathing hard. The truth he swore never to speak clawed at his throat. He closed his eyes, whispered, "I never wanted this." But then, footsteps, soft, behind him. He turned slowly. Someone stood in the shadows by the staircase. Not Ethan. A woman, pale, dripping water, eyes hollow, wearing the same dress his mother wore the night she died. "Alexander," she whispered, voice like broken glass. His blood turned cold. His heart stopped, because his mother had been dead for 19 years. Alexander's breath trapped in his chest. The woman at the foot of the staircase stood completely still. Her soaked hair draped across her pale face, the white silk nightgown clinging to her like it had been dragged through rain and dirt. "Mother?" he whispered, voice cracking. She didn't blink, didn't move, just stared. Eyes empty, lifeless, yet somehow full of pain. Thunder roared outside. Lightning flashed through broken windows. And in that split second, her reflection appeared in the cracked mirror behind him. Except she wasn't alone in it. Ethan stood behind her in the reflection. But when Alexander spun around, no one was there. His mother's cold, shaking hand lifted slowly, pointing toward the east wing of the mansion. The same wing that had been sealed after the fire. The same wing where she died. "You need to stop him," she whispered, voice soft as ash. "Before he does to her what he did to me." Alexander's heart pounded. "Mother," Ethan said, "he said you." But she cut him off with a single word. "Run." Then her body jerked violently, as if something yanked her backward by invisible chains. Her eyes filled with terror. "He's here." And just like that, she vanished into darkness. The candlelight flickered out. The hall went dead silent. Then slow applause. Ethan's voice echoed from hidden speakers. Calm, mocking. "Still seeing ghosts, little brother?" Alexander's fists clenched. "What did you do to her?" Ethan chuckled. "You of all people should know. The dead stay dead. What you saw was guilt. Nothing more." Alexander's voice trembled with anger. "Where is Mia?" Ethan's tone shifted, colder, crueler. "East Wing. Same place where our mother begged for her life. Same place you left her." Alexander's breath hitched. He remembered flames, screams, his father dragging him outside while Ethan tried to run back inside for her, only to be restrained. He remembered his mother reaching out to him through fire, and he didn't go back. He ran. Then Mia screamed again, muffled, distant, from deep within the East Wing. That was all it took. He ran, past the broken mirror, past the cold spot where his mother stood, down a long corridor with peeling wallpaper and shattered portraits. The house moaned with every step, like it remembered everything they tried to bury. A locked iron door stood before him, rusted, burned around the edges. The door to the East Wing. He pushed it open, metal screeching like a dying animal. Inside, darkness, burn marks on the walls, the smell of old smoke and wet wood. And then his heart stopped. Mia, tied to a chair in the center of the charred floor, unconscious, bruised. Her bracelet glimmered in the dim light. He rushed forward but stopped, because someone else was there, sitting in the corner, calm, watching. Ethan, dressed in black, hands folded, eyes like ice. "If you touch her before you finish what you started, I'll let history repeat itself." Alexander glared. "Let her go. She has nothing to do with this." "She has everything to do with this," Ethan hissed. "She is your heir, your legacy, the child you chose after leaving us." Alexander's voice broke. "Tell me what you want." Ethan stood slowly, stepping into the light. A long scar cut across his jaw, one Alexander had never seen before. "I want the truth," Ethan said. "I want you to say what really happened the night our mother died." Alexander shook his head. "You don't understand? Say it," Ethan whispered, eyes burning. "Or I'll burn this place again, with your daughter inside." The wind howled through the broken ceiling. Firelight from old lanterns flickered across Ethan's face. Alexander's legs trembled. The memories he spent years burying clawed their way back. His father's rage, his mother's screams, his own fear. Mia stirred slightly, tears on her cheeks even in unconsciousness. "Dad?" she murmured weakly. Ethan smiled. "Go on, brother. Speak. Let her hear the monster you are." Alexander shut his eyes. Rain pounded against the roof. His voice came out broken. "That night, she didn't die in the fire." Ethan's eyes widened. Silence. The storm outside paused, as if the world itself was listening. Alexander whispered the words that could destroy everything. "She begged me to let her go. So I did." Ethan froze. His face twisted, rage, confusion, grief. "You're lying." "No," Alexander whispered. "I opened the door. I didn't pull her out. I ran." Ethan's voice cracked. "Why? Why would she choose you and not me?" Alexander looked up, tears streaming. "Because she wasn't trying to escape the fire. She was trying to escape him. From father." For the first time, Ethan flinched. His anger wavered. His breathing hitched. But then, boom. The floor shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. The mansion groaned like it was waking from hell. Ethan's eyes snapped up, confused. A voice echoed through the house. Not Ethan's. Not Alexander's. Deeper. Stronger. Alive. "Did you miss me, boys?" Alexander's blood turned to ice. Ethan's jaw dropped. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Slow, confident. A tall silhouette appeared behind the flames at the doorway. Their father, the man they both buried. Alive. Smiling. The mansion shook as Alexander stared at the figure emerging from the flames. His father, Elijah Cortez, alive. Every memory of fire, betrayal, and loss slammed into him like lightning. Ethan stumbled back, disbelief and rage clashing in his eyes. "Father, how are you alive?" Elijah's voice was calm, terrifying, resonant. "Alive, yes, but the world you know is gone. I've been watching, testing, waiting for you both to prove who deserves the legacy." Alexander's mind raced. Mia, his daughter, still bound, fragile. He stepped forward. "Unbind her. Now, end this madness." Elijah smiled, just enough to reveal the coldness behind his eyes. "Not until I know the truth. Not until the sins of the past are faced and forgiven." Ethan hissed. "Truth? I've waited 19 years for justice, for recognition, and you give him power again." "I'm not giving him power," Elijah said. "I am revealing it." Flames flickered across the walls, casting monstrous shadows. Mia whimpered from her chair. Alexander ran to her, kneeling, untying the ropes, holding her close. "I've got you. I've got you." She clung to him weakly. Ethan lunged forward, fists shaking, but Elijah's hand shot up. One word. "Stop." The world seemed to pause. Elijah's eyes, piercing, swept over both sons. "Power without conscience destroys everything it touches. You've both been tested. Now, face the final one. Forgiveness or obliteration." Alexander's chest heaved. "Father, I failed my family. I ran. I left her behind. I didn't protect anyone." Ethan's voice broke, trembling. "I was nothing, left to rot while he lived in comfort. You made me bitter. You made me hate you. You made me this." Elijah's gaze softened slightly at Ethan, then hardened. "And now, do you let hate consume the child's life as it almost consumed yours?" Alexander looked at Mia, alive, trembling, but safe. He felt her tiny hands grip his shirt, and for the first time clarity struck. "I forgive you, Ethan. I forgive you for everything. But we stop this together. No more blood." Ethan stared, confusion flashing, rage twisting into something new. Then Elijah nodded slowly. "Good. The final test is survival." Suddenly, the floor trembled violently. Smoke poured from the old chimneys. The mansion moaned. A section of the wall collapsed, revealing hidden underground tunnels, long sealed, filled with unknown dangers. Elijah motioned. "Go. Save your family. Prove the legacy is more than money, more than revenge." It is unity. Alexander gathered Mia, shoulders stiff, heart pounding. Ethan, hesitating, finally stepped forward, grim determination on his face. Together, they ran toward the tunnels. Flames licked the walls behind them. Shadows twisted as rats and crows fled the chaos. A metallic sound echoed. Chains? Doors? Traps? The family moved fast, adrenaline carrying them deeper. Suddenly, a low growl resonated. Something massive, unseen, moved in the darkness. Mia clung to Alexander. "Dad, what's that?" Alexander swallowed hard. I don't know, but we keep moving." Then, glowing red eyes appeared in the shadows ahead. A hulking figure stepped into view, man-shaped yet wrong and monstrous. Something Elijah had kept hidden for decades. The figure's voice rumbled like gravel, distorted. "You shouldn't have come." Alexander's grip tightened on Mia, heart hammering. Ethan's breath hitched. "Father, what is that?" Elijah's voice, calm but icy. "Your final test. Only those who face it together survive." Mia whimpered. Alexander held her close, whispered, "We face it together." Ethan's hand brushed Alexander's shoulder. Hesitation melted into resolve. "Let's finish this." The red-eyed figure advanced. Darkness closed in. The tunnels seemed endless. And as the family braced, footsteps echoed behind them. Another figure emerging from the shadows, someone familiar, yet impossibly deadly. A flash of recognition froze Alexander's blood. "No, it can't be, not you." If you were in Alexander's shoes, would you face the past to save your family? Or would you let fear control your choices? What would you do in his place? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your opinion. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more powerful, life-changing stories like this.